I went back to Keperra today to have a look after what we saw on Saturday, and to all intents and purposes, when you stand at this height here, it looks just like a normal day at Keperra. It's the high part of the course. There's no rain. In fact, the sun was shining today, and it looked pretty good. I decided to take the same route that we took on Saturday and start with the 19th and just sort of walk down that path and generally have a look. And this time on Saturday, all we saw was just water everywhere down the bottom, and it's a lot different today again until you get closer. You can see the definition of the pond on the left there, swinging across to the 18th. It looks fine. The only difference, the eagle was down today. He was off the job. The bunkers have looked as if they've held up pretty well, but again, they're at the high point, and they should come good, I would think. Swinging across now, we're looking down the 10th. Now 10th is in a very, very bad way. It doesn't look too bad from here, but remember yesterday it was all underwater. There's the pond on the left hand side. You can see the definition of that, and as we swing across now, we can just sort of get a glimpse of the first. Now looking at the pond across to the 19th and looking up the hill at the new maintenance shed. I thought I'd have a look at the water running down. Yesterday it was gushing, today it's trickling. And as we get down the bottom, you can again see the pond. Yesterday there wasn't a lot of definition, you wouldn't know there was a pond there. A lot of silt, a lot of runoff, a lot of dirt, a lot of gravel around the place. The water brown as ever, which is done to be expected. The fairway on the 19th is not great. This is looking back up the 18th as well. You can see how bad that really is out in the middle there. And that is very, very slushy. Your feet sink, and it's not good. A lot of silt, a lot of gravel, a lot of debris on there. And funnily enough, everywhere you go around the course, you see golf balls. Obviously, lost golf balls are no longer lost. Still water lying around, looking up the hill. Again, this is dirt, it's silt, it's gravel, and a lot of puddle, a lot of water. So looking up towards the green. And when we get to the green, bit of debris, as it's a bit higher. The green has held up pretty well. The debris is easily cleared off as it rushed over that side. But looking back along the fairway to the low point, not great. Here we are on the next hole, which is the 20th. Looking out, left hand side where the water gushed across towards the creek. You can see a lot of movement with the plants over the path. Puddles lying around, debris everywhere. Here's a bit of a log that was obviously washed in from somewhere. Again, golf balls lying around. Debris just sitting here. It's all going to need to be collected and gotten rid of. The maintenance staff are going to have a hell of a job over the next few weeks to clean this up. As we come up towards the creek, and there, and you can see the water gushing over the little gully. Again, for those of us that know Keperra, this gully there, you could stand down there and you would still be underwater, and it doesn't look that deep, but it is, and it's rushing. It's done a lot of damage. You can see the edges there breaking away right up to the fence line now. The bridge was out of action, couldn't go across there. And there was a really huge noise coming from this drain, which is running underneath the fairway out to the creek. So looking back on the bridge there, as we scan across there, we can see the 20th green up there, the water flowing still rapidly down there. A broken pipe that had been picked up and carried from somewhere, wrapped around the tree. Looking at the 23rd now, and the green has held up pretty well. Obviously it's on higher, but the bunkers are in the usually bad condition as they are now. Looking back over the creek, away from the green, back towards the tee, and again you can see the water running very quickly, and it is a lot deeper than it looks there. The bridge is still workable. We had some locals looking around too. The neighbours seem to be very keen on just looking at the place and very upset to see what condition it was in now. Again, all the rubbish hanging around. The strength of the water you can see as it's pushed the grass back. See how high up it is to the bridge there, and these trees all down. The bridge is held up, just a little bit of debris over the top of it, which is one good thing. Our bridges have been very strong, survived. Doing a demonstration of the water going by. So water pushed the grass wrapping around these little trees and the posts, and when we looked at this the other day, this was just a sea. I couldn't even get close to here. This is down the left hand side as you're actually going towards the green, and where the creek is. Getting up towards the dog leg. And looking back now, you can see one of the little trees there has come down. I don't think that a lot of us would be quite happy if all three of those trees came down. Again, this one you can see from the line there where all the rubbish has stopped. This is how high the water got up, and when you look at the video from Saturday, you saw this point, it was just rushing across there. This is the new area that's been redone for the 22nd and the penalty area, and so the grass obviously being eroded somewhat. We move across. The fairway itself on the 22nd has survived quite well, and I don't think that that'll be a problem, and it'll be no worries there. But I think the problem is actually coming up. We didn't see this on Saturday when we came through because it was so busy and the water was just gushing through. Now we're going to see the result of that water rushing. So you can see the new turf has been lifted and carried away. It's undermined. There's the piping going underneath the concrete path. It's heartbreaking when we know, how much work has been put into the redesign and refurbishment of this hole, and it was so exciting a week ago when it was opened up for the first time. And now it's closed, so the shortest run in history, I think. can see here the undermining there of that area. This is the creek to the left of the hole. It's just running now. Again, that was gushing on Saturday. And if we'd been here on Sunday, I think it would have been even worse. It just gives an idea again of the power of the water. There's no stopping it. If you wonder where all the turf has gone that is missing, we can start to see it wrapped around that post, and some of it down here. And the green itself is not too bad. It's a little bit higher. The new bunkers, and I think although the sand's been washed away, I think the shape is still good, and the lining has been strong, and it's probably proved to be very successful, I would suggest. We're now at the back of the 22nd catchment place for the water depositing lost golf balls. The bunker there, whilst it's sort of gouged out a little bit, I think probably one of the easier jobs to fix. Now here we're down on the 25th actually. This is the par 3. You can see where the erosion has occurred, huge amount here, where the fence is, the line of the fence there. This was the bunker, or is the bunker, on the left hand side, and that's going to present some problems, I think. The poor old eagle sign got skewered, and this is the power again. This is coming up to the bridge, crossing on to the 26. The bridge itself is very solid and sturdy. The damage is in the creek and around the surrounding areas. This is looking along the right hand side of the 26. Moving up there, that's towards the left of the 26, and you can see where the water usually runs when it's very wet, across that little gully there. Crossing over the pathway. Now looking at the 27th, looking back towards the tee, again because it's a high and it's on a hill, it's survived pretty well. Usual water in the bunkers. Again we see the back of the maintenance shed, bunkers out of the way, sand washed away, but I think we've seen them like that quite some time. The green itself was okay. This is looking down towards the 19th as we make our way back over. So we're looking again at the 10th, just some still photographs. We can see the pond quite clearly now, whereas on Saturday it was just covered with water. We wouldn't have known there was a pond there. As we swing around and look further up towards the 10th, and this is a huge lot of damage here, and it's just got silt and gravel and rocks, and I'm just squelching through it and caked with mud. It's going to take a hell of a job. Let's look at the 11th. The bridge is almost under, but it's going okay now. As we look back, Keith and his mate, they're trying to sort things out. They've got a big job ahead of them. This is the left-hand side of the 10th, looking across also to the 1st. Water lying around. The green itself has held up pretty well, and this is looking at the 1st and again scanning back across towards the 10th with that water before you get to this is the little crossroads as we come off the 8th to the 9th. You can see the water running through the bridge next to the 8th, and I think that this was particularly bad. This is you can see the grass is flattened everywhere in the creek, and as we come up to the pathway next to the 8th, you can see the bits hanging onto the fence there. All those weeds and reeds and whatever you call them are flattened, they're gone, and they've been taken away. But I want you to look at the bridge now and look at it from this side, and what do you see? A huge log just lodged in there, just stuck. Now what sort of power picks up a log like that and jams it into the bridge? That is incredible. That's the power of the water that we've been subject to here. This is the back of the 8th green, where the creek runs round, and it's still running. Those of you that know Keperra know that also that is quite deep down there. You can see where the fence has been destroyed. Now this is a tragedy. We get to this green and it's heartbreaking. The damage that's done here is just incredible. You know, we've got a little noodle that's sticking up the top there that's usually down the bottom. I shudder to think how they got up there that far. But we look at the green, it's ruined. You know, this is not a bunker. This is just the green having been gouged and eroded. I mean, this is not my favourite hole by any means. It's probably one of my worst holes, but I wouldn't wish this upon any hole. It looks terrible. It's just so much damage. There, in fact, is the bunker that we're coming up to now. Those of you going to play here know this hole well. That's the bunker. And the rest is not supposed to be there. Looking along the side there where the chain keeps everybody down. So we know that that's probably about 3 meters down there, at least 3 to 4 meters. Looking back, looking at the gouge that's there. This is looking back at the 8th from the tee. We're making our way round now to the 7th and the concrete pathway, so there's a tree bough that's come down. This is a beautiful spot. There's just the natural native gardens that the guys have worked so hard on here. I think this will recover pretty well, but it's certainly taken a beating, and probably a good rationale for having a native garden there, because it will recover quite well. This is the back of the 7th, the creek running around the back of the 7th. Looking at the green now on the 7th, you can see there's a lot of dirt there, and thank goodness the cavalry are coming. Our stoic workers coming to clean up that green a little bit. I think they're going to dry it a bit and then wash it down and get rid of the dirt. And you know, it's a thankless task. This area is just a mess. It's a mess. Looking back up towards the tee of the 7th, there's the bunker, the fairway bunker. Now this is just incredible. This is the right hand side towards the penalty area. It's my first thought, this is just like an English seaside beach. You know, it's got pebbles and a little bit of grit and what have you. I don't know where it's come from, but it's there, and it's thick. There's a, you know, it's come up, and I don't know where this piece of timber's come from either. That's just floated in and got jammed against a tree. So looking over towards the penalty area, you see lots of bricks, lots of stones. This was completely inundated with water. You can see from the grass the way it was flowing and the damage it's done, bringing down more trees. You can see the rocks there. It's hard to think that, you know, water can just push those rocks and leave them there. The culverts did a really good job, I think. No damage seems to be done there. Along the pathway, sort of the usual mud and silt. Getting up to the 6th green now. Looking back, swinging round towards the tee, the 6th tee. Again here, not too bad. Seems to have survived pretty well. This is the green around the 5th, and walking down the 5th. So obviously a lot of silt, a lot of dirt there. There's another example of the water carrying a log and depositing in the middle of the fairway. Not too bad up around this part here. Then we get to this area here. This is the flat part before the rise of the 5th. You can see the pond there. That's again showing its shape. And it's this gravelly stuff that's come out, and it's going to make life so much harder to get rid of it. This is actually this is probably one of the worst aspects. This is around the 4th, and there's huge damage here. I don't know where this gravel and stones and rocks come from. I can only assume it's maybe from the railway area. I may be wrong, but the fence is damaged, and you could see here the undermining that's happened around where the railway line is. And for those that don't know, we're right near the crossing of Ferny Grove on this corner here. And there's old Peter Dutton looking over. He did his best to protect us, but it was just too much for him. This is the back area, the back left area around the 4th green. A lot of work to be done here. The green itself is not too bad. Now we're going down towards the 5th tee. This is just mud. There's a concrete path there. It's just thick with mud, caked with mud. When I came here on Saturday, you couldn't even see these little wooden fence poles. They were just sticking out of the water at the top of them. And in front of us was just a sea of water. You wouldn't even know there was anything there but water. And you can see where the water was rushing in from that area there, going up the 5th. And we're heading up now towards the fifth tee, the ladies part of the fifth tee, and again you can see some more grass that's gouged out there, and a tee marker down. And we are a little bit further up now. We happen to just see the tee, the fifth tee marker. It's certainly out of place. That was a C on Saturday, looking up there. Now we're looking back now towards from the third, and this is the second. We're looking back, and this wasn't too bad actually, that top part, but then we get to the bottom there, and it's just saturated, and one can only imagine how much water was sitting there on Saturday and Sunday. It's underneath the railway line, the water flowing through on that concrete culvert. See it moving still quite swiftly. So on the other side. This is the pathway that runs below the second tee to the right. Not many people would come along here. It's a real mess. They're rutted and the water has really made a mess. We get to the crossroads again, or the ninth tee is to our right, and you can see the marker there is well undercover. We'll finish up with a look at the first green with the pond in front. It's back to its normal state. We can actually define it, looking back up the fairway towards the hill. I hope you've enjoyed this walk around Keperra Country Golf Club, and I'd like to thank the sponsors of the club, and hopefully we're going to rise again and give them good value. And I'd like to thank you very much for viewing, and until we see you again, goodbye.